What's good, y'all, and welcome to this video. Apparently this is y'all's most requested feature and obviously thing you want to take advantage of. So I also won't hold it away from you any longer. I just have one simple request. When I do eventually, in like a couple seconds, give you the code, please, if you take it or copy it, be it from the comments or right here, just let the video run out in the background. It just helps me out with a bit of watch time. If you want to leave a like, consider subscribing. But enough of that. Here's the code. 3 scenarios: early game, late/end game, and end game for those that really just want to farm 20,000 runs without having to worry about anything. So now that we have the codes, what do we even do with these? We hit right on any character, on the gear, click on sell, and then down there we have the recommendation settings. Now, as soon as we go into the recommendation settings, we can go to manage plan, import plan, and either just type it from what you see right there, or as I said, copy it from the comments down below. You'll then see imported from WorGuides, number of rules included 19 or 20, depending on which version you choose right there. So let's confirm, import our plan, and let's talk about what these plans entail, how they work, and also I guess at what point you really want to pick what choice. So early game is super easy. As soon as you start the game, you can basically pick the early game one. So I guess it's technically not great too. I would say as soon as you hit like mythic gear is when you can start using the early game plan. Late/end game is as soon as you've beaten all the 18s, and end game is really just when you're basically finished with the 21s and you don't really want to bother too much with farming. You just want to let it run, quickly clear it, and then just run it again to completely start maxing out your account, and or your account is already so progressed that you've made it into the end game category. But yeah, I guess a good example would also be the ability to beat the 21s and at least like the stage 8 or stage 9 of the gear dungeons. So let's get into what the hell is actually going on here. We'll be going by the example of the early game plan, and the reason why nothing is named here is that if you import it from my code, it will just be custom rules and they'll be called imported rule blah blah blah. So even if I were to name my rules, they wouldn't transfer over. So we'll have to go one by one, and I'll tell you what this says, what's all up with those here. So here we go. The very first rule is actually kind of like a future-proofing rule, where if they ever release a HP/defense based character that properly deals damage, you just have it by having, let's say, HP percent estimates, and then it needs to have crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, making a perfect piece, and only those are actually getting a thumbs up. Everything else is going to get scrapped. Next up, we have your standard Dolores pieces, so attack percent, attack and rage region. Your standard healing pieces with healing effect, attack and attack speed, where you require both of the selected attributes. And then here again, healing effect with HP and attack speed. So the way this really works is first it checks, is it the right set? Then it checks, is it the right primary stat? And then it checks for the secondary attributes. And what you can do is you can pick how many secondary attributes you want, and also how many of those you've chosen have to be on the piece. So for example, again here, it needs to actually have all these 3 substats or it's not going to get a thumbs up. So yeah, those are like the standard healing ones. And then also obviously we have HP percent and attack percent, each with again healing effect and attack speed. Down here we have your typical rage region set, you could say, where if it's HP percent, it needs to have rage region attack speed. If it's rage region, it needs to have at least attack speed. And if it's attack speed, it needs to at least have rage region. That's kind of the way this works. Because if the main set is the same as the substat, it obviously can't have it twice. Then right here we have kind of like the DPS gear. For example, if it's attack percent, it needs to have at least crit rate and attack speed, or crit rate, crit damage, or crit damage, attack speed to be registered. And obviously it gets only more precise the higher you go in gear plan. There's a couple issues right here, like for example, you can only make 20 rules, so you can't quite make a rule for every scenario, but if you make it cleverly, you still get an outcome that is very desirable. So yeah, right here we have again just future proofing with HP % offensive gear, then defense % offensive gear. This is just your standard attack speed / rage region gear. So for those ancients that drop that have rage region and attack speed, or if you get really weirdly lucky with the fusions or the forges, that nothing gets left out. Here we have attack and healing effect on, so basically your attack based healer gear, then you have your defense based healer weapon. Here you have your tank gear, then you have your offensive gear with attack % and crit rate. That's basically the weapon and also the armor. Here once more it's the same, but the reason it looks similar is because on the higher end obviously we swap in for the chest piece crit damage and for the weapon attack speed, but early game you really are just looking for attack % crit rate. Here once more defense % also will change with the later ones, just adding another modifier signifying that obviously it's getting more specific. Here you have then your healer weapon, attack based healer weapon, and then HP based healer weapon. So lastly, let's actually have a look at what the end game entails, because the normal late / end game is kind of like really in between. And yeah, there we go. Search, confirm, out. So yeah, what you're really looking at is again perfected defense / HP gear. Here, this is kind of where it gets crazy. You have only the offensive sets and only the relevant ones, being Wisdom, Night Terror, Insight, as well as Aegis, Soulbound, Infernal Roar, and Hell's Lament. Obviously will be upgraded as soon as we get the other new sets, which we don't have currently. And here you have, for example, if you have attack %, it needs to have crit rate, crit damage, attack speed, and attack, because it needs to have 4 out of the 5 to even be considered a piece. Same goes for crit damage. If it's crit damage, it needs to have attack %, crit rate, attack speed, and attack. The same way is also there for rage region. So yeah, it is here you have like the offensive piece again, but this time with the rage region variety. So this is really only for those looking for like the 4 perfect god roll pieces. And yeah, it is really specified. It really is go in, sell everything that's not thumbed up, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Feel free to look over the pieces. If you have anything that I might or am supposed to change, which I hope you don't find, feel free to let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think that has already been it, and we see each other in the next one. Peace!